We've already spent a good amount of time in Moab exploring the most scenic trails. All of these have been considered more on the easy side of the scale, making them appropriate for most stock 4x4 vehicles. Hi, we're Mark and Paula. From some of the other trails and overlooks, we could see this route, setting up a bit of anticipation for this ride. It'll involve 3 separate trails that connect, all easy to moderate and popular, with some nice primitive camping along the way. From Moab, turn west at McDonald's on Kane Creek Boulevard. Like so many of these paved roads to the trailhead, it's a beautiful drive. Across the river you can see Wall Street. Check out this scenic drive from our last video. After about 2.5 miles of rough pavement, the road turns to dirt. We unloaded our side-by-side Julius here to begin the 7-mile trek to Hurrah Pass, and then on to Chicken Corners. The road's easy. Along the way we'll see several primitive campgrounds. The campgrounds along Kane Springs Road are similar to most BLM campgrounds in the area. They're primitive with no hookups. They have trash and vault toilets. They're labeled A through E, creating 105 individual sites that are available on a first-come, first-served basis. There are group sites available by reservation. Being only 8 miles from Moab in a beautiful setting, we think this is a good choice for spring and fall when Moab temperatures are perfect. Kane Springs Road connects to Hurrah Pass. The road starts to get bumpy, but it's still considered easy. This portion of the overall route is only a little over 3 miles long. As you rise, you have an opportunity to make stops and take in the view. The pass rises over 500 feet. at the top of Hurrah Pass, you can opt to turn around here or continue on to Chicken Corners. Technically, there's only one corner that the trail gets its name, but the name is stuck with most people, so we'll go with that. Chicken Corners is over 11 miles long and doesn't connect to anything, so this is an out and back route. The road will narrow and is considered moderate, so expect some more excitement. The first section of this is a long descending shelf road that winds along the red rock walls, so keep an eye out for other riders. There are plenty of places to pull off. You can actually stay here. I understand it has 7 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and a full-service kitchen. The lodge sits on 145 acres. Signage here is good, even though they're covered with stickers and a little hard to read. This sign is a nice touch. A little bit of quirk always makes me happy. Over the years, it's been added to. Right before you get to the corner, there's a curious little memorial that honors Joseph Hills Johnson. a local figure and Moab Chief Deputy Sheriff. He died at the spot of the memorial after his horse took a stumble. This little display was erected by loved ones to remember his life and death nearly 100 years ago. Up next, a section that gave the trail its name. Some people chicken out and walk this section. The narrow trail is slightly tilted towards the canyon drop-off. Pay attention here, there's no room to pass oncoming vehicles. About a mile and a half past Chicken Corner, there's a nice spot to relax and view the gooseneck of the Colorado River. There's a footpath that takes you along the cliff. Some people say this is why the S is added to the word corner. The footpath seems more scary than the corner on the trail. We didn't think the corner on the trail was really that bad, but we've been following other off-roaders as we made our way up the trail. We check in with each other as we stop to film. One fellow driving a stock 4x4 with manual transmission wasn't a fan of his portion of the trail. I could see why he felt that way. Using a stick shift and having a wider profile would make that section a little scary. To our surprise, most of the people on the trails we've been riding on have stuck to the trail without making alternative routes. You don't always find that, but we're seeing more splits in the trail here. So you'll need to make some decisions on which line to take. Some routes are easier than others, and we hit bottom on a few ledges and had to back up once or twice because we chose the wrong route. Most four-wheel drive trucks could drive this trail, but you might guess why we chose to take our side-by-side instead. Driving this is roughly 20 miles out and 20 miles back, making it a longer off-road trail. We drove into the sun when we started the trail and into the sun on the way back. Not the most ideal filming light. Since we made a lot of stops, we chose to forego the offshoot from Chicken Corners that takes you to some wind caves and a catacomb rock. think of this trail? When you get on Kane Springs Road, you're immediately pulled out of the rush mode. The pavement ends, your speed drops, and your thoughts quiet down. Driving here feels like exhaling after holding your breath all week. As the trail narrows and the terrain gets rougher, you feel more present. You're reading the road, listening to the vehicle, and trusting your decisions. Well, at least most of the time. Your heart rate goes up on those narrow corners as the drop-offs appear, but the nervous excitement reminds you how small you are out there. And if the challenges don't put things in proper perspective, the towering Red Rock Canyon walls of Kane Springs Road, the massive Colorado River far below, and the endless mesas and buttes of Canyonlands and Dead Horse Point will. It was another great Moab day. Join us next week as we venture on another scenic drive into Dead Horse Point and Canyonlands. Thanks for supporting the channel by liking and subscribing. We appreciate your comments.